Hello and welcome. Today I'm doing a collage collaboration and I'm showing you the prompts for this month, which I will talk about in a minute because I'll be spending some time gluing papers on there and I can tell you about it. So I'm working in my little composition notebook art journal, and I already had that background, kind of a mishmash of stuff on the pages that I'm going to use, and I'm showing what I pulled out to possibly use in this collage. I have that paper. The first one was a background paper that I had done a project on, and just that's all extra paint from my project and just mess that I made. I have a couple of napkins, some tissue paper, and some sheet music. And I have some paint, teal, white, and black. I don't end up using all of it, but you'll see that in a few minutes. And I pulled out a bunch of stencils because I knew I wanted to do some stenciling on top of my collaging of papers or napkins. So I was also showing in there how I store my stencils. I know a lot of people are interested in craft storage, so I keep them in those 12 by 12 sleeves and a piece of black construction paper in between, so I can put one stencil in the front and one in the back, and then I just have them in a big crate in very broad general categories like backgrounds and nature and words and people, things like that. So anyway, I'm also using matte medium. I showed that because I often use glue stick for my collages, but with this one I knew I wanted to put paint and probably other things on top of my papers, so I thought I would use matte medium for that. I like working on that surface that has matte medium on it for this particular type of collage work, if that makes any sense. So anyway, the prompts for this month, well, first of all, the general theme for this month is called Get to Know Me or Get to Know You. Now I've forgotten, but it's me that you're getting to know. And I'll say right up front that I am cheating, and I left out a couple of the prompts because I forgot to say, so sorry, that this collaboration is hosted by and coordinated by Creating by Jovi, and I will leave a link to her channel down below so you can find her videos, and especially the video for this month's collaboration. And then she also links videos of other people that join in. This is an open collaboration, so anyone can join in that wants to. So anyway, I skipped some of the prompts because they were asking for favorites. And I don't know if it's just me, but I really have a hard time picking one favorite of anything. I just like a lot of different things. And, one of them was your favorite color. And I don't have one favorite color, but I noticed that I use teal a lot. I really love that color, and I use it a lot in my art journaling. So that's what I'm going for that prompt. And then the ones I skipped over are who is your hero and why. I just really couldn't think of a good one. And I thought it would be hard also fitting in all these different prompts into the my collage. I don't usually make collages with a lot of different things like that. I don't know if I'm describing that exactly correctly, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like for me it would flow together. Anyway, that was one I skipped. And then if you could do anything in a day, what would you do? Well, I'm kind of showing that because I'm art journaling, and making junk journals is my favorite thing to do right now. So besides, spending time with my family and all that. So that kind of answers that prompt. And then my dream vacation would be, that's the next prompt. Again, I don't know that I have a dream vacation, but I had a trip last summer planned to Ireland, and that got canceled because of the pandemic. And so I'm using the green napkin that's kind of to the very top left of the screen, not the one I'm working on right now. The green napkin kind of represents Ireland for me because, when I think of Ireland, I think of green rolling hills and things like that. I've never been there, so I don't know. That's just my idea. And hopefully I'll get to go there one day. But anyway, and then my favorite color was the other prompt, which I already talked about. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, I'm tearing apart that napkin there, taking that backing off so it can get down to the top layer. And I'm trying to figure out how to blend that into this collage, because even though I didn't really think that was a great fit for this page, I wanted to fit it in there because I didn't want to be a party pooper and skip every prompt. So I thought also I use the image that lady that says, "Do I look like a people person?" is a napkin as well. And I thought that would be a great image to use in the get to know me prompt, because I joke a lot that I don't like people, and I do like people obviously, but what I don't like is I don't like rude people. I don't like thoughtless people. And, sometimes I feel like there's a lot of that in this world now. And it's not just now, it's been happening for a long time. So it's half joking. I'm not completely serious about it. I just thought it was funny, and I joke about it with my family a lot. So it's really me. And I'm a very sarcastic person by nature, and I always have been, so that I just thought that was the perfect focal image for my collage. So I'm looking at the placement of things and how it's going to look. I cut or tore the napkin pieces into the size I wanted, and now I'm gluing them down with the matte medium. And I learned that trick I just used water where I wanted to tear the napkin pieces, and water on my brush, and then it tears very easily, and it tears where you want it to tear. So I learned that from here on YouTube. So I don't even know, it's a long time ago I learned that from somebody here on YouTube. So that's what I was doing there. And then I'm gluing my pieces down, obviously. I tend to put a lot of my focal images on the right side of a 2-page spread. So, and I don't know, I started doing 2-page spreads, and when I first started doing this, and I just kind of continue it, although sometimes lately it's actually been a struggle for me to do a 2-page spread, and it seems like so big. I don't know. I used to not have an issue with that, but I don't know. Things change. So I was moving things because I always forget that I create a shadow with things up there. I have such terrible lighting in my room. I know I always say that, but it's so true. It bothers me. Anyway, let's see. So I'm just trying to smooth out the napkin and make sure it's all glued down. It's actually very wrinkly if you see it in person, but I don't mind that because this is a composition notebook from one of my kids from high school used it, and I turned it into an art journal, so it's obviously nothing that fancy. I don't mind wrinkles and stuff like that. I like grungy, sort of messy spreads. I don't worry about it too much. So I've heard other YouTube artists say, this is not going in a museum, and that's how I feel about it. It's my own personal art journal, and I don't worry too much about a lot of those details as long as I'm happy with it. And until I started recording myself, nobody but my family and a few friends would see my stuff. And even, I never showed all my friends all my art journals because they wouldn't want, it would take a long time to see all of those. I don't think they want to see every single thing I've ever made. Anyway, I'm rambling. So that's another thing to know about me. I ramble a lot. And so I'm now tearing that napkin and placing it there. And I love the way it looks so far. It's kind of a little messy on the left-hand side, but I'm thinking I'll fix it up with a little stenciling or something later. So I'm gluing down the napkin. So I will give you a spoiler alert. I glued that napkin down, and then I was very unhappy later on because it blended into the background way too much. So to fix that, I don't use napkins all that much, especially for a focal image. Oh, and first I glued it down crooked, of course, because I tend to do that. So I peeled it off very carefully and tried again. And crooked to me doesn't always bother me, but that one I didn't want it to be so crooked because, it's a rectangular image, and then you could really notice it being crooked there. Anyway, so the image became very transparent when I glued it down, and I didn't like the way it looked at all. So I'm going to come back in later and fix that. So what I was going to say is, what I should have done is I should have either painted the background where I glued the napkin a lighter color, like an off-white maybe, or a white, so that she would stand out more, or I should have glued her to a piece of paper and then glued her onto the journal. But you can see me looking at her going, I'm not sure about this. And here it doesn't really look that bad, but trust me, it did not look good. So here I go. I made a copy of the napkin before I used it, thank goodness, because now I'm using that copy, and I'm gluing it down right on top of the napkin. Now you can kind of see how transparent the lady is. I'm edging around with some brown distress ink, the two pieces. I ended up cutting the words separate because I thought it looked better that way, and then I'm just going to glue the lady down on top of the napkin. It's not exactly the same size, but it's fine. It's brown on brown, and then later I'll go in with a brown Stabilo pencil and do a little edge around that. You'll see that later. But anyway, I used matte gel to glue this down. It's heavier than the matte medium, which is liquidy, and this is more of a like it says, like a gel. And so because the paper was kind of thick, it's just heavyweight copy paper, but I felt like it needed more than the matte medium. So I think it works the same way, and it dries clear and all that. Same way as matte medium, just a little bit thicker, Thanks. It's a little bit thicker. Okay. So then I was going to do some stenciling. I took out all those stencils, and then I decided, instead of adding another pattern to that, I was going to line that stencil back up that I used in the background and stencil those details on a little bit stronger. I thought they went into the background a little bit too much. So I'm going to spend some time stenciling and trying to line that stencil up. Another spoiler alert, I kind of made a mess of it. And normally I said just a few minutes ago that I don't mind messy and journaling, but this became even more of a mess than I could tolerate because I thought I would do gold on top there, as you see, but the gold didn't stand out at all, and I realized that what I had used before, because I made this so-called background a long time ago. I just stencil off extra paint, like I said before, and brayer off extra paint, so I didn't remember what I did, and I thought, sorry, my big old head is in the way there. I was trying to line that up, and I thought gold would look good, but man, it didn't look good at all. So then I got my brown paint out, still stenciling that gold and making a mess. I didn't line it up carefully. I didn't like the way the gold looks. I end up going back over it with brown and making more of a mess because then I had three layers of that stencil that I didn't line up straight at all. So I ended up fixing it, and oh gosh, I didn't realize my big old head was in the way so much. Sorry about that. But anyway, the thing about art journaling is, you can usually fix things good enough. It's good enough for me anyway. I don't have to have everything perfect, as I've said before. And some things, like I said, are just too messy for me to tolerate. But here's my brown paint. But in general, you can usually fix just about anything. And if you can't fix it, you can always paint over the whole thing, which I've done too. So I usually don't worry about things like that. I started art journaling for myself. I still do it for myself. And I got into recording. I never thought I would, but I did, and now I'm sharing it with other people. But I really do it for myself because I enjoy it. It's fun. It's relaxing. It's just, I just love it. And I don't have to have, anything be perfect. I'm usually pretty happy with my end result that I show to the public anyway. So there I'm showing you how I don't like that left-hand side. The right-hand side looks good, but the left-hand side is too messy, too cluttery, too jumbled up for me. And so then I decided to put some white to tone that all back down because it was too much. So I watered down the white paint, by the way, before I brushed it on there. And then I'm just using a paper towel to blot some of it up. And I'm putting water on my finger to take away some of the white because I don't want to take the whole, the pattern of the napkins especially away, but I want to push back that awful mess I made with the stenciling. I'm about to make more of a mess with my brown paint. So I'm just drying that up. And by the way, I sped this up to double speed, the whole thing, because otherwise, it'd be way too long. And actually, I made this spread in a little over an hour. And that's pretty fast for me because I work really, really slowly. But I'm happy that I limited myself to just a few papers, and I kind of had an idea what I wanted to do. I don't know, it just worked out fine. So anyway, there I go, adding in my teal, because it's my favorite color right now. And since I took a lot of it away with the white paint, I wanted to add some back in. And I thought I would add some down there at the bottom too, to kind of balance it out. And so I did that. And then I think because next is when I'm going to add in my brown stenciling. Also, I never use that sheet music that I have sitting there. I wanted to, but it just never worked out. So it's fine. I used almost everything I pulled out, which is amazing. But again, I didn't pull out a whole lot of stuff. So I decided to add another leaf on that side. And since I'm adding one leaf, so why not add another one? Even though now that I'm looking at this, I probably should have stopped with just the one. Then maybe it wouldn't have been so jumbled up. I don't know. I like the end result, which is what counts. Yeah, that one looks good. Yep, that was the right decision. So I'm needing some more brown paint. And I'm going to, I wanted to add one more little thing because, I like to do things in threes, like how it's recommended to do things in odd numbers. So I decided to add a little another little berry thing there. And now am I going to go into the brown? I'm like deciding, do I need more leaves? Oh, and my picture is kind of wrinkly there at the bottom, and also I saw that I put a random piece of washi tape in that corner that was coming undone, so I glued it back down. And I decided to do the brown stenciling there at the bottom to kind of tie that page in with the left hand side. And I thought it needed something down there. So yeah, I'm really doing very messy stenciling in this video. And I'm not always the neatest stenciler, but yeah, this one was pretty messy. So this is how not to stencil. I think I was just working too quickly, maybe. Like I said, an hour is quick for me, so I don't have a lot more to say so far about this spread at the moment, so I'm kind of rambling. Sorry about that. Maybe I should have fast forwarded this a little bit quicker. But I think we should be getting close to the end of the stenciling, and I don't do too much more, to be honest. I'm trying to line that stencil back up with my big mess that's under there, but I ended up not doing so great of a job, and I fix it, so I will let you see how I fix it later. So I'm going back in and adding the brown, and sometimes when I stencil or paint or put paint down, if it's too much, I'll just pick it back up with a paper towel or another piece of paper, or my hand, which I was doing there, because it's just quicker and easier, and it was a little bit too strong, the paint in there. I didn't want it to be so stark brown. I wanted it to match the rest of the brown. See, I'm just picking it up with my fingers, the paint that's too strong. So there I go, trying to line it up again. I think it takes me quite a while. Oh no, I guess not, to line it up. See, it's messy. I'm not happy at the moment. It's kind of a mess with a lot of loops and loops. So I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what the heck to do. Okay, so then I'm pointing out that spot there. I went back in with a little bit of the turquoise paint, or the teal, excuse me, and I filled in the messy parts up there where my hand is right now. And then I went back in one more time with the brown paint on top of that, so that I could, or maybe, I don't know if I went back in one more time. I didn't record that part, or just left it. And then I just put a little bit of white thinned out white paint thinned out with water over the top of it to tone it down a little more, that brown. So then I went around the image and the words with a brown Stabilo All pencil. If you don't know what that is, it's a pencil that is, you can, write with, and then you can smudge it with water, and it becomes permanent after you wet it and it dries. But when you first lay it down, it's water soluble or moves around. So I thought I would add a little kind of a shadow to that, around that picture, to kind of blend it in a little bit better since it was on top of the napkin. So then I decided to do some white splatters all around to kind of unify the whole spread. And I put white splatters all over the place, all over my glass mat and other things. I usually lay down a towel and do it on top of that, but I was too lazy and wanted to do it quickly while I was recording. So there it is, and that is it, except that I'm not completely done. I'll be back. I had to come on very, very quickly because I thought I was finished, and then I looked at this as I was about to pick it up and take a picture, and realized that it did need one more little thing. So I used that little scrap of lace that I pulled out, and I attached it to a piece of paper so I could sew this. Otherwise it's hard to sew on the machine. For me it is anyway. Sorry, I'm a little wobbly because I'm not using my stand. Very quickly wanted to say that I added that at the end and I just glued it onto the page. So now I really like that little addition, and it didn't necessarily need it, but anyway, I feel better about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.